Hello and welcome to Twist and Shout, a show where we dive into the lives of people you will find quite interesting and who may just expand your mind. My name is Antonio Schoenhardt, and on today's episode, we're going to meet Xavier Gonzalez, one of Hofstra University's esteemed Pride Guides, who lead tours around our campus to inspire and hopefully persuade potential applicants. Xavier's experiences include leading and connecting with a plethora of people who join his tours, and of course, the ability to show what makes this campus truly shine. Before we get into some spicy twists, let's spend time learning what Xavier believes makes a Hofstra Pride Guide.
Hi, my name is Xavier Gonzalez. I am a sophomore at Hofstra University. I am a geology major, originally from Queens, New York. I'm a Pride Guide. One of the things that made me want to become a Pride Guide was I had such a great experience with mine when I was touring here. That was one of the main decisions as to why I ended up coming here. One of the things that definitely makes a good Pride Guide is being able to think on your feet, because one of the things that you have to be able to do is answer people's questions, and there's always going to be those questions that you were not expecting. I've definitely gotten my share of them, but to be able to kind of, think about the right way to answer it, because there are certain ways you want to answer it because you don't want to portray the school in a bad light, you don't want to portray other schools in a bad light, so there's a fine line. You kind of have to, walk a line. If you want to be a Pride Guide, I think that's one of the most important, skills that you could have. In my opinion, the hardest part is probably just trying to help those people understand, and because if you have a person or a family that's very enthusiastic, it's very easy to give a tour, but the hardest thing to do as a Pride Guide is getting those families who seem disinterested or like, I'm just here because I have to be kind of a thing. I have had those families where I've talked to them, I've shown them, and I've answered their questions, and I've turned it around, and to me that is the most rewarding part, but it is also the most difficult part for sure. I do believe that Pride Guides do need some deal of leadership. I think the skill that's more important is being able to empathize and connect with the families more than just being a leader. But I would definitely say being able to connect with the families is a better way of, actually going through your tours and getting people to come back to Hofstra. I love asking people before we start every tour where they're coming from, what their majors are, if they have any specific interests, and I always say that I'm open to any questions that people might have, just so that they feel comfortable enough that they can kind of make that connection with me, because I want them to see me as kind of like a source for information, so that it kind of enriches their tour experience. I used to get very anxious when I would go out on tour. There are some things when it comes to touring that are still a little bit, I'm still a little getting used to. It's definitely gotten a lot easier as I've toured more and more.
Welcome back, folks. Now, I know you must be anxious to know where our show gets its name. Well, today we have Xavier here in studio to do what he thinks is a normal interview, but it actually has a mega twist. You see, today's twist is called Your Guide to Spicing Up the Pride. All right, Xavier, first and foremost, welcome to Studio B. How are you feeling?
I'm excited to get into this today. This is one heck of a twist.
Yes. How well do you fare against spicy food? Is this going to be something a challenge for you, or is this a piece of cake?
I mean, I love eating a lot of spicy things, but when it does tend to get a little bit hotter, it does, tend to affect me a little bit.
So as you can see, there are a plethora, there's 4 of them, of chicken tenders in front of you, and each has a sauce. So we're going to start with the sauce with the least amount of Scoville units, so the best sauce, I guess, right, the easiest one. Yes. And then we're going to get all the way over to the hottest sauce that we have to offer for today. So are you ready to dive right in?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. So the first sauce that we're going to do is called Frank's Red Hot. You may find it a lot at the supermarket, and it is the lowest and the easiest one. It's a cayenne pepper sauce. So are you ready to hop right in?
Fantastic.
All right. So I feel like this might be an easy question to ask, because I feel like all these Pride Guides get this question, but what's the strangest thing that's happened to you on tour?
So I would have to say the strangest thing that I've had happen to me on tour was I had a family that was supposed to be with another group, and they came up to me just out of the blue, and they started asking me questions. One of the questions that they asked me was, how much was your deposit? So that wasn't really the most appropriate question they could have been asking me, as money's a little bit of a wonky subject to be talking about.
Right.
So I answered them in the most truthful way I could without explicitly telling them my personal earnings. I've also had parents ask me questions about health and stuff like that, and dorms and stuff like that, but I would have to say most of the experiences that I've had have been pretty positive.
All right, well, that's really good to hear. How about on the sauce side? How was that? Was that okay?
Wasn't too bad.
All right, awesome. So we're gonna move right on over into sauce number 2, which is a sriracha hot chili sauce. It's pretty cool. I personally have never tried this sauce ever, so this is a first for me. I don't know about if it's
I don't think I've ever had this one either.
Awesome. So let's see what this has to offer. Okay. So while we're eating this, is there anything that you've learned about Hofstra that maybe you didn't know before you were a Pride Guide?
I definitely have to say that it's enriched my experience personally, because getting around campus is so much easier now after knowing where certain things are. I do have to say that the thing I found most interesting was just learning about the different majors, because one of the things that as a Pride Guide I have to do is I have to at least have some knowledge of other people's majors. So to learn about the stuff that other people do and their interests and learn about how the different schools function is really interesting to me, and I would definitely say that's my favorite part, and that was my favorite thing learning as a Pride Guide.
All right, awesome. How'd the chili go down? The sriracha chili. That
one
cool?
that was a little
bit of a kick
little bit
to
more
it?
hot than the previous one for
All
sure.
right, well, the good news is that it only gets hotter from here.
That's
or
great.
bad news, depending, I don't know. But the next one we have is our Cholula hot sauce. It is pretty awesome. And it is, pretty much, I've used this on rice for a lot of times. I've never had this with a chicken tender before, so this is going to be a little different. But cheers.
The sriracha one had a late kick because it's hitting me now.
Right? This one's pretty right up in your face, right?
Yeah.
So I know you kind of answered it before when I asked you what was the strangest thing that's happened on tour, but has there been another type of question that you've been asked on tour that really came out of left field where you've been like, what? Or have you had any of those like, what moments on tour?
I had a parent come up to me and ask, if my daughter gets pregnant on campus, what do I do? And I was,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was quite the out of left field question. I basically just put out there that we have, student health services, but that's about all I could do to answer that, because that was kind of a, very strange question to ask.
Right.
But yeah.
And how much of the job is it, knowing how to navigate those really wild questions?
That's a lot of it, honestly, because whenever somebody asks a question, they're gonna ask it in a specific way, looking for a certain answer. And I have also gotten questions, oh, well, how are you compared to this school? And obviously we want to, boast up Hofstra, and we want to make Hofstra seem like the school they want to come to. But at the same time, you don't want to put down other schools, because that puts us in a negative light as well. So I would definitely say that navigating them is important, because you need to know how exactly to answer it without either putting the school down or putting other schools down.
Right. It seems like it is a bit of a difficult skill to really pick up on. And so before we move on to our next question, how is that Cholula sauce? Good, bad, how we feel?
That one was
a little bit of a kick.
Well,
that might be bad news for you, because this last sauce that we have is our Tabasco scorpion pepper sauce.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, and I looked it up online, and let's just say that there's more than 10,000 Scoville units in this.
Oh,
but
great.
so I'm gonna let you apply as much as you want. We don't want to, injure anybody here on set.
Of course.
Okay, great. You already know, classic Tabasco barely comes out. I'm giving myself a little bit of a challenge there.
Yeah, I'll match you.
And while we're at it, being a Pride Guide, it's a leadership position on campus, right? Do you think that you are a good leader?
I would definitely say that doing the job has definitely allowed me to do. Ooh.
All right.
That one was much hotter. Wow.
Yeah. That is our Tabasco scorpion sauce. But so how much of the job is being a good leader?
Sorry, give me a second. So a lot of the job is dedicated to. Well, I'm really feeling that one.
It's all right. We're gonna let you feel it. As for us here on Twist and Shout, we'll be right back in just a few moments. Yeah, that one's bad. Oh wow.
About the frog. Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
real-world experience.
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe, it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
That last Tabasco that we just tried should be illegal. So before we get on to our next game, Xavier and I went on a little tour to prove once and for all who the better pride guide is. So while I'm making sure my mouth isn't burning, let's take a look at that.
I don't.
Where's Antonio?
Oh.
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 Okay.
What's up, everybody? I'm here with the one and only Xavier, and we're actually going to take everybody on a quick little campus tour. I will just, warn everybody, he might spew some fallacies. I mean, come on. I'm sorry, young gun. I've been around a little longer than you.
Hey.
When people come to Hofstra, they request to see Antonio Show. I don't, I'm sorry. It's also come on, that's really and he's got it on. But yeah, we're gonna go out on a tour, have some fun, listen to what I say. Don't worry about what he says. Yeah, I just don't get it. How did this make it to the Met? I can't believe this is actually in the Met.
I know the artwork in here is really good and our art students are super passionate, but I hate to break it to you, this is not the Met. This is one of our art galleries. I know, it's really impressive, but...
It should be in the Met. It should be in the Met. I don't understand it, but it should be in the Met. That's all I'm saying. Biology and geology department. Hannah, why is the mic so far away from my face?
The boom mic?
Yeah, why is it up there?
You don't want it in the shot.
Let me-
Look,
Why are you here?
I'm producing this episode.
So they're just letting anybody do it now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Can we just get the mic closer?
I don't think it's gonna. Okay.
Yeah, just see this right here? This is industry standard.
Hey, I'm back. What are you doing in here? You're not really supposed to be touching anything.
I'm just directing though.
No, we're supposed to show you things, but you're not really supposed to touch it.
But look, button, click, field.
I know, it's really cool.
This was made for me, bro.
Yeah, but we can't just be letting you touch things, I mean, I know it's really cool and it looks awesome, but you can't just come in here and start touching anything. I mean, it's not really the most professional thing. We are seeing the tour, so it's not really, the best thing you could be doing.
I like this.
It's okay. I know you found it super exciting, which is awesome.
It was fun.
It is.
Wow, they went crazy with the Easter eggs this year. This is insane. Look at that.
So, you think this building's really cool. They have the bio department in here and the geology department in here, and they have all different kinds of classes. There are research posters everywhere, There's so much you can do in this building. So this is the Martin B. Greenberg trading room. One of the really cool things about this room is you can actually get to trade real stocks using real money. they also have the ticker up there, which is only 4 seconds behind Wall Street. People are able to learn about if their stocks are falling, if they're going up, you know.
And I'll do you one better.
Oh,
You
gosh.
get to keep the money. You actually get to keep the money. That's insane too. Like only at Hofstra.
That's not true.
Really?
Yeah, you kind of just get the experience of having traded the money, but you don't actually get to keep it. Which is cool because, you know, if you end up losing it, you also don't.
Let me go
worry
call my
about that.
bank. Just give me a second.
Antonio, you good?
We're still rolling? Why are we rolling?
Hannah, I literally told Hannah, do not put any of this on the show.
Antonio,
Like, I can't have people
I
thinking that
think-
I'm actually that much
I
of a
think
like.
we're
what?
live, dude. We might be live right now.
Oh, good point. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Whatever you may think you saw or heard, you didn't. All right, let's get that straight. Anyway, Xavier, we're gonna test your gaming skills since I hear you're a pretty big gamer. As you see before us, in front of us, we have a Jenga set. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna be removing Jenga blocks and then asking questions. Do you think you're up for the
I
challenge?
think so.
All right, fantastic. All right, Xavier, I'm gonna go first. We got like a tilting pizza of Jenga going here, so I'm gonna try my best. And yeah, I'm just gonna. There you go. That worked out. All right. So, what is your average time playing video games?
Oh gosh. Depends on the day, but I'd probably say 2.5 hours. 3
Okay,
hours.
that's not that bad. I thought you were gonna tell me like you never see the sun, but now you get to go ahead. and
Well,
what do you usually what are you playing for so long?
my usual favorite game is baseball. I love MLB The Show. So.
All
that
right,
would definitely be-
fantastic. So you were just mentioning your favorite game. Let's switch it over to the big screen now. Favorite movie? I could start first. I think my all-time favorite movie has got to be Inception. I'm a huge fan of like movies that really make you think, right? Like the philosophy movies.
That is a good one.
Philosophical themes in film is probably one of the best classes I've ever taken at Hofstra. Shout out John Farley. But what about you? What is your favorite?
That comes down to 2 movies for me. So I love, Avengers Endgame, one of my favorite movies of all time for sure because of the nostalgia.
Better than Infinity War?
Probably not in a vacuum, but my personal favorite. It's either that or I love Disney, so Lion King is probably my favorite movie.
Awesome.
Of all time.
Well, we're gonna switch over from Marvels. It's also still owned by Disney, and go on over to Star Wars. What are your thoughts on Star Wars?
I love Star Wars. It's one of my favorite movie franchises. I personally think that Mandalorian is the best of the Star Wars universe. That's my personal favorite character.
Alright.
I actually got the helmet when I went to Disney a few years ago, and I have it in my room.
Awesome. So you go
he's
ahead
awesome.
and pick out that next block. I think my favorite Star Wars film of all time has to be Revenge of the Sith. I feel like it gets hated on too much. You literally get 20 minutes straight of Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and then Yoda and Palpatine. Like who wouldn't like that?
That is true. That
What
is
do
a
we?
good movie. So my favorite type of video game.
Okay. RPGs, FPS. What do you like?
I would have to go either RPGs or sports.
Sports. Okay.
I absolutely love, baseball and basketball games. 2K's been a little bit rough as of late, but I do love the games. But
You're making this so hard for me, Xavier. Yeah, I literally. Anyway, so 2K.
Baldur's Gate is probably my favorite game going on right now.
Okay. All right. Well,
Got a little rough there, Antonio.
Okay. Well, all right. Baldur's Gate. But favorite animal? How about we go with that?
Well, I already kind of answered this before, but lions are my favorite animal for sure.
All right. What about lions? Is that also a reason why you came to Hofstra?
It might have had something to do with it. I think it kind of just worked out that way, where it happened to be one of my favorite animals, one of my favorite movies, and then I ended up liking Hofstra so much, and then it, kind of just worked out as a coincidence that, their mascot is lions. So
Yeah,
pretty
it
cool.
worked out pretty well, I guess, in terms of that. Now, you said you liked Lion King before.
Yes.
Who would your favorite Disney villain be?
I mean, we're talking the Lion King. Scar definitely is one of them, but
That was perfect. You see that? That's awesome.
That's a good put down, Antonio.
Oh yeah. Favorite villain?
That's a rough one. I could go with one of the classics and say like Maleficent. Maleficent's pretty cool, but I think because of how much it meant to me when I was younger, that I would have to say he's not really a villain, but Chuck from Cars. He was,
Okay.
I absolutely detested him when I was younger.
Awesome.
But he was probably the one that I would say was a villain to me when I was younger.
Nice. Well, it is your turn yet again, and while you look for your next block, what was your favorite childhood TV show?
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb. Wow,
Without a
that one
doubt.
was quick, huh?
Without a doubt.
There's 101 days of what?
Vacation.
Summer vacation. Close enough. Anyway, what do we got on that question?
This
for, that
one
block?
is, if I had 3 wishes, what would I wish for?
If I had 3 wishes, ooh, okay. Do you want to take that one first?
I could do it.
All right, awesome, yeah.
So there's 2 ways to answer this. I could answer this the very practical way, or I could answer this, the way I would want to. Because, I could say the cringy stuff like world peace and stuff like that. But if I was going to do, for me, I definitely wish to be a professional baseball player, rock the Mets. I would probably wish for, the typical, money and stuff like that. And then the last one would be like passes to Disney forever. I don't know, something like that.
I would go infinite supply of life, or infinite or lifetime supply of pizza. Any pizza place I ever walk
That's
into,
fair.
automatically get free pizza. Number 2, I would want to have first dibs on any TV show or movie or video game that comes out.
Ooh.
And if I don't like it, it just doesn't come out. Because I feel like there's so many movies that get made, and it's like, I feel like, who was in the writing room for
That's
that? I
fair.
could have done something better. And the third one, I think, would be to always be happy. If you can eliminate sadness in the world, everyone can just thrive.
That's fair.
Now, what is a fun fact about you?
Fun fact about me, I play 2 instruments.
Okay.
So I actually play both the guitar and the flute, and I was in my college band, or not college, I was in my high school band for all 4 years, and I also did chorus for 10 years. So
All right, fantastic.
I'm
All
very
right.
musically inclined.
You may go yet again.
Fantastic.
I actually play alto sax, clarinet. I did guitar. I did intermediate guitar for a little bit, and then I also did drums for a bit, but I didn't like any of those. What do we got on that block?
This one is, what inspires you?
Ooh, this is a good question to end on. So, what inspires you and why?
I definitely say the desire to get better. So I am a person who is constantly trying. I call myself a perfectionist, so I'm constantly trying to improve myself. So I definitely say striving to improve and prefer perfection is what inspires me to do better.
All right, well, Xavier, I think that was absolutely fantastic. And that is all that we have game-wise. You do have some good taste in media, and those last words there, those were absolutely incredible. We'll be back with everyone in just a second to say goodbye to our good friend.
And I'm running for re-election for Spin the Wheel host. For a whole half season, I've cultivated relationships with my community. You want a good host? You already know a guy.
My name's Carter Rodriguez. I'm not homophobic, not transphobic, not racist.
Any goober in a two-piece suit take the mantle.
The rumors of me being a goober are highly exaggerated. I'm Boston James Paquette, and I want to be your host, please. When you pick your host, pick Paquette.
A big thank you to Xavier Gonzalez, who shared with us his Pride Guide experiences and also stuck around for a bit of fun. Before you do go, Xavier, is there anything you want to, put out there into the universe? Anything you would like to say to the lovely audience?
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I definitely think that was one of the things I wish I could have told myself when I was coming to Hofstra.
All right, awesome. And what about for those who are still in the application process, maybe? What would be your advice to them when picking a university?
I would definitely say apply to as many as possible, and obviously you should keep looking. If something piques your interest, you should definitely look deeper into it and ask questions. There are always people you can talk to, so I would just advise you to ask us questions if you have any, and don't be afraid to apply to more colleges if that's something you'd want to do.
I think that sounds fantastic. Xavier, thanks to you for being a good sport, and thank you to all of our audience at home for tuning in. Here's the thing, the fun doesn't stop here, because next time on Twist and Shout, we'll be testing our guest Molly on how well she knows her campus food and if she can endure any twists that will certainly come her way. You won't want to miss it. Once again, I've been Antonio Schoenhart, and this is Twist and Shout, and we'll see you next time. Ka-chow!